You know, when we think of a hero's greatest journey, we usually picture mountains or seas, right? But what if the biggest battle, the most epic adventure, wasn't out there, but in here? Today, we're diving into a philosophical text that honestly reads like a graphic novel. It's this mythic, internal fight for the soul.
And boom, with that one line, we're thrown right into this dark, kind of noir-style underworld. And notice, this isn't some accident. It's a choice. Our wanderer is actively leaving behind the superficial wax fruit of the world to take an inverted path, a journey down to find a totally different kind of truth.
All right, so let's start that descent with him and really figure out what this force is that's pulling our wanderer down into the deepest parts of his own mind.
And just to be super clear here, we're not talking about a physical place with demons and lava. This is all symbolic. We're on a journey into the psychological underworld that, let's be honest, probably exists in all of us.
So the engine driving this whole descent is a concept called Thanatos. Now, don't just think Death Wish, it's way deeper than that. Think of it more like a profound gravitational pull, a pull towards quiet, towards non-existence. It's this deep, unconscious urge to finally resolve the constant, agonizing tension of just being a separate conscious person. This is the real catalyst for the entire journey. Okay, so as the wanderer goes deeper, the landscape of his inner world starts to take a very specific shape, and it's a forest, but not like any you've ever seen. He's stepping into the uncanny valley, and you've probably felt this before. It's that deeply unsettling feeling when something that should be familiar, in this case, his own mind, suddenly feels alien, strange, even hostile. It's, as the text says, terrifyingly unhomely.
So this inner world is a forest of jagged stone trees. And these aren't just props in the background. They are the literal, physical manifestations of all his repressed traumas. His mind has become a haunted house and is being driven by something psychologists call repetition compulsion, that weird unconscious magnet inside us that pulls us to repeat our past traumas over and over and over again.
But here's the thing, he is not alone down here. Oh no, he's about to come face to face with 3 incredibly powerful adversaries. And get this, they aren't external monsters. They're personifications of the core parts of his own psyche.
First up on the scene, the uncanny shadow. This is the embodiment of the id. We're talking about that raw, primal, totally unfiltered part of your mind. It represents all those darker desires and instincts that he's tried so hard to pretend aren't there. And the shadow does not mince words. It's incredibly confrontational. It's forcing the wanderer to look, really look, at the ugliest parts of himself without blinking. It's holding up a mirror to his own decay and flat out telling him what those stone trees are all about.
And this is absolutely crucial. The shadow isn't trying to destroy him. It's demanding integration, not escape. It's basically arguing that to be whole, he has to embrace these darker parts, mock his own vanity, and stop hiding. This is test number 1.
Okay, next, he meets the uncanny jester. Now this guy represents the mocking, defensive ego. If the shadow was raw and primal, the jester is the polar opposite. He's cunning, he's cynical, and he's all about protecting the way things are right now.
I mean, you can just hear the dismissal in that question, can't you? It is pure mockery. The jester is just sneering at the wanderer's fear, clinging to what he calls the polite lies of the architecture of convenience. He basically wants him to give up this whole uncomfortable journey and go back to pretending. So the jester mocks him from inside the ego's comfy gilded cage, and he reduces this huge existential struggle to just a meaningless chemical scream. He then holds out an hourglass, representing the endless crushing repetition of life, and he makes a wager. He bets that if the wanderer truly gets this burden, he'll actually start to beg for the sweet peace of non-being.
And finally, you could call this the final boss. The most formidable adversary of them all appears, the Red Spectre. This is the superego, the cold, logical, judging part of the mind.
Wow, that is just chilling. The Spectre's viewpoint is completely clinical. It sees the individual self, your identity, my identity, as a mistake, a glitch in the system, an ontological error that doesn't need to be fixed but corrected by being erased.
So the specter comes at him with this fire of dismantlement. It speaks for something called the logic of zero, which is just a complete return to a non-living, inorganic state. It offers the crimson gift of total erasure, and it presents this not as some horrible tragedy, but as a logical, necessary solution.
So here he is, facing these three immense forces: the raw id, the mocking ego, and the judging superego. The Wanderer has reached the climax of this whole story. He has to make a choice right now.
And here's that choice, laid out plain and simple. On one side, you've got the specter's logic of zero, erasure, correction, and a return to the abyss. But on the other side is the path the Wanderer is about to carve out for himself, the logic of one. And this one is built on integration, affirmation, and a radical becoming of the self. And this is the turning point. Instead of just crumbling, the Wanderer grips that hourglass, and he declares this powerful, almost defiant, Nietzschean yes to his entire fate. And not just the good parts, every single catastrophe, exactly as it happened. This is what radical affirmation looks like.
And that one single act of will, that yes, it changes absolutely everything. It kickstarts his ultimate transformation.
So let's just quickly walk through the stages of his victory. First, he confronted every part of himself. Then he affirmed his entire existence. Then, and this is amazing, he took the specter's fire of dismantlement, the fire meant to destroy him, and he reforged it into a fire of becoming. You see, this was never about destroying his old self. It was about integrating all the pieces to emerge as something completely new.
And this, for me, is the ultimate triumph. The traumas, those jagged stone trees, they weren't just destroyed or forgotten. They were transfigured. They became the actual dark foundation of his new integrated strength. He didn't erase his past. He built his future right on top of it.
And that's what brings this whole mythic journey right back home to us. The Wanderer's story is really just a powerful metaphor for confronting our own inner shadows, our own defenses, and our own judgments. It leaves us all with a pretty provocative question to chew on. What happens when you stop fighting and instead say a radical yes to your own inner chaos?